The big one. After we got married, my wife had developed a bad addiction, and I discovered last year after she had gotten taken away that she had been cheating on me. And not just a little bit either, she has cheated on me at least 80 times, sometimes even multiple times per day. I found out that she was hooking up with dudes to buy stuff. Against my better judgment, I stayed with her in hopes that her being in a sober state of mind, she wouldn't do it again. Well, she relapsed again recently, and I discovered that she had met another random guy for money again. This has messed with me so badly over this past year, and now just 3 days ago once again she did it. I feel constant anger, dread, and depression as I am helpless to stop it. Just random Johns are bad enough as is, but many of these men were people that she knew. Some were her using buds. I am not completely innocent myself. There was one time not long before she was arrested last year when I first learned of her infidelity. I was mad at her, and I told her after she had been gone from the house almost 2 weeks, I told her to get home, stop doing everything that she is doing, act like a wife and mother. I told her to get home now, and if you don't get home, I will find another woman to take home to bed. Her response was, "Screw you, I will not do what you want me to do, I will do what I want to do." So, the following week I found some hooker online and met with her. It was pretty much just revenge. It didn't make me feel any better. In fact, I felt worse afterwards. I know 2 wrongs does not make a right, but the fact that I did that as retaliation one time to her doing that to me, no telling how many times. 3 days ago, the fragile hope I'd clung to shattered into a million irreparable pieces. My wife, once again, betrayed our vows, our family, for a fleeting moment of escape. The weight of her addiction and infidelity has been crushing me, slowly, relentlessly. Each revelation, each lie uncovered, felt like a hammer to my soul. But this last incident, it was the final blow. I'd been living in a fog of anger, dread, and depression, a constant storm in my mind. Her actions were a brutal reminder of the reality I tried to ignore. It wasn't just random men, many were people she knew, her so-called using buddies. The betrayal cut deeper with each familiar face. I wasn't blind to my own mistakes. In a moment of rage and hurt, I'd sought revenge. A foolish, impulsive decision, meeting a stranger online, trying to even the score. It didn't help. It only added guilt to the already overwhelming mix of emotions. I knew 2 wrongs didn't make a right, but that didn't change the past. Now, faced with this repeating cycle of betrayal, I knew I couldn't live like this anymore. I needed to break free, for my own sanity. I started gathering evidence, meticulously documenting every indiscretion, every lie. Text messages, bank statements, anything that could prove her infidelity and addiction. It was a painful process, each piece of evidence a reminder of the life we could have had, the love that turned into resentment. As I collected the evidence, I felt a strange sense of detachment. It was as if I was watching someone else's life fall apart, not my own. But it was real, painfully real. I was preparing for the inevitable, the end of a marriage that had been crumbling for far too long. The morning I met with my lawyer felt surreal, like stepping into a scene from someone else's drama. The office was stark, businesslike, a stark contrast to the chaos of my emotions. My lawyer, a middle-aged woman with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor, listened intently as I laid out the details of my wife's addiction and infidelity. She took notes, her pen scratching steadily on the paper, a sound oddly calming in the midst of my turmoil. As I handed over the evidence I had gathered, a part of me still couldn't believe it had come to this. Divorce. The word hung heavy in the air, a finality that I had never envisioned on my wedding day. My lawyer reviewed the documents with a clinical detachment, explaining the legal process, the likely outcomes, the steps ahead. Her professionalism was a lifeline, something solid to hold on to in the swirling uncertainty of my life. The hardest part came next, handing over the letter of divorce to my wife. The thought of seeing her, of confronting the end of our shared life, filled me with a mix of dread and relief. I chose to do it in person, needing that closure, however painful it might be. I found her at home, the place that once felt like a sanctuary, now just a hollow shell of memories. She looked surprised to see me, her eyes searching mine for an explanation. The words stuck in my throat, a tangled mess of hurt, anger, and sorrow. Finally, I handed her the letter, my hand trembling slightly. "I can't do this anymore," I managed to say, my voice barely above a whisper. Us. It's over." She read the letter in silence, her expression unreadable. I watched her, searching for a sign of the woman I had fallen in love with, but she was gone, lost to her demons and choices. There was no dramatic outburst, no tearful plea for forgiveness, just a quiet acceptance, as if she too had known this was inevitable. Update. The days following the delivery of the divorce letter were a blur of emotions and necessary actions. I had made my decision, and now it was time to follow through. It was not just about ending the marriage legally, it was about reclaiming my life, my space, my sanity. I steeled myself for the next inevitable step, asking her to leave our home. It was a house that once echoed with laughter and love, now reduced to a silent witness of our broken dreams. I couldn't bear to have her there anymore, a constant reminder of the pain and betrayal. On a gray, unremarkable afternoon, I told her she needed to leave. Her reaction was muted at first, as if she hadn't grasped the reality of the situation. But as I began to gather her belongings, something shifted. Maybe it was the sight of her clothes, her personal items, being unceremoniously thrown into bags, the finality of it all becoming undeniable. As I tossed her bags onto the street, a harsh but necessary action, her demeanor crumbled. The woman who had been so defiant, so unapologetic in her betrayals, suddenly broke down. She cried, pleaded, a torrent of emotions pouring out. She spoke of her struggles, her addiction, her regrets, words that might have made a difference once, but now only echoed hollowly in the space between us. It was heartbreaking to see her like this, to witness the person I once loved so deeply reduced to this state of despair. But I knew that this breakdown, this moment of vulnerability, changed nothing. Too much had happened, too many lines had been crossed. My comment, she knew this would come when she started all of this. OP, you don't need to feel guilty, you can't cure people. Story 2. Since the end of April, my wife has been really disconnected. She'd been staying later at work, started rejecting my physical affection, and said she was in a state of confusion and that she didn't think she could ever be happy with me and has been unhappy for 5 years. This came out of nowhere. We just bought our dream house in March. How could you make a huge financial commitment, then a month later say you've been completely unhappy this whole time? I have been searching for answers on my own and actually discovered a lot about myself, which probably contributed to me not fulfilling some certain emotional needs. Last Saturday, crap hit the fan when a co-worker's wife found evidence of an emotional affair between my wife and her husband. My wife confessed everything and to this day insists that it never went further than flirting and one date. He sent her a message that day saying he wanted to end things and stay with his family. My wife was heartbroken but finally showed a willingness to make things work. She started talking about redecorating the house and we talked about the future. Then on Monday, I found out the whole thing was a lie. The coworker is separating from his wife and is not ending things with mine. I finally decided to look at the phone records today. They are texting each other every day, on average 70 to 80 times. In 1 hour, this morning, there were 45 messages between them. I want to keep our family together. We have an awesome 2-year-old, our dream house, and I have a huge head start on being a better husband and fulfilling what she's been missing. I'm not sure where to go from here. I know she would be willing to work on things if I could get her head out of the fog and away from the other guy. I like the idea of exposure. Both sets of parents already know what's going on, but nobody else. Exposure, I have been reluctant in the past because it felt selfish or too much like revenge. After reading the materials here, it makes perfect sense. I'd like to see her squirm to try to explain to these various people how horribly unhappy she is. They all know who I am and I have nothing to hide. Have I been perfect? No, but I'm more than willing to work through my personal problems. Already have my first therapist session scheduled, and then work on making things better between us. Other follow-up questions. 1. I can block his number from sending messages to her phone. Should I consider that? 2. I don't really know how to contact his spouse. She already knows, but I'd like to share evidence and step things up. Any tips for that? Nothing found on Facebook or other social media. She also lives about an hour away, making things a little harder. I could probably find an address in the county property records. 3. Should I confront my wife about the text history? I feel like that might be playing my hand a little early and they would just do a better job of hiding it. He already bought a second phone to hide from his wife. Her parents support me 100% and I've received encouragement to keep trying and not give up hope. My parents support me either way, but they want to protect me and have suggested ending things. I can't do that yet. I owe it to my son and the commitment I made when we got married. I don't take that lightly. Now that we have a tentative plan for exposure, how should I be acting around the house? She's actually been very pleasant the past couple days. Still makes dinner every night and is taking a more active role in playing with our son. She's doing favors for me and even went with me to a family gathering. Slightly awkward. Should I act like nothing's wrong? Should I act guarded? Should I be overly nice? I've been keeping an even keel. Not saying too much, but also not being standoff and raising suspicion. I want to add some more info I think might be relevant. 1. Awkward as it is, I also work at the same company as WW and OM. They work in a separate part of the building, in sort of a satellite office, with about a dozen people. How far should I go with exposure and work? I literally know everyone at that place. What are the pitfalls for me? 2. I'm convinced exposure is 100% the way to go in this case. It is driving her nuts that her mom and my parents know. She is avoiding her mom because she's being weird. She also asked me tonight what I told my boss, nothing specific, other than problems at home. She's definitely afraid of being exposed. She cares immensely about what other people think. She's been bracing for OMW to make a scene there. She won't suspect it from me. 3. I'm pretty sure I found OMW's cell number. I am going to text it tomorrow when OM is at work to not raise suspicion. I want to tell her about other man's surprise new phone number. 99% sure it's a cheater phone. I hope OMW will keep it a secret that she knows. I want to drop that bomb on other man myself. I'm thinking of calling the number while I'm in their office and watch the look on his face when it rings. Can OMW and I work together on exposure? Do we need to cross-expose or can she take care of his family and I'll take care of WW's? I'm nervous about the fallout. Several weeks ago, and prior to finding this channel, I confessed a few intimate secrets to my wife to try to make things right between us. Truth be told, I had a little bit of a porn addiction that I kicked cold turkey upon realizing the science on how it affects the brain and relationships. I'm now exactly 1 month clean and I feel fantastic. On one hand, I'm really afraid she's going to use that in retaliation. On the other hand, it doesn't justify an affair. My conscience is clear. I'm making strides to better myself and our relationship. Here goes nothing. I exposed to their supervisor and manager today. They are probably getting HR involved. I'm nervous about the fallout and that my wife will be the one canned. It would definitely be a rough time financially. No luck with OMW. Wouldn't answer my calls or messages. I don't have any info on OM, no Facebook. Wife won't answer any communication. What do I do then? There are no traces of him. I've checked co-workers' pages, logging out, etc. No social media accounts whatsoever. She is a stay-at-home mother for 3 kids. This OM is going to get destroyed in a divorce. Contacted OMW today. She is pissed. To recap, she's the one who blew this whole thing up, so she obviously knew. I broke the news that he's been playing both sides. He's telling my WW that he's getting a divorce, while telling his BW that he's ended all communications. I gave her the new phone number he's been texting with. I also found out from her that they went to lunch on at least one occasion and shared at least one kiss, so me for it not being physical. Rest of the exposures are going to plan. HR is investigating and will be interviewing both of them this afternoon. She's already furious at me because OMW has been texting her to back off, veiled threats, etc. I've stayed calm, said I'm not participating or hiding his lies, and left it at that. Exposures are done, except OM's parents, still trying to find info on them. OMW won't give it up yet. WW doesn't know the full extent yet. Do I tell her or wait it out? Why do I feel terrible? WW was furious last night trying to understand why I did this. What do I say in response? She feels betrayed and doubts she can trust me again. She calmed down toward the end of the night and I could tell she was in conflict on what to do. She asked when I needed a decision. I said whenever you're ready. I'm trying to stay calm but I feel so unprepared for the questions she's asking. OMW texted this morning and said that other man made promises to cut things off today. He's too nice though. Nothing short of breaking her heart will work. She will see any sign of hesitation as a glimmer of hope that he's going to change his mind. She pulled me aside today and accused me of starting rumors about OM getting a divorce from his wife, which is silly because that serves me no purpose. The rumor mill is ramping up though. I told her I didn't know where that was coming from and basically walked away. WW shows no signs of even thinking of stopping the affair. She stopped hiding her feelings about him. This is killing me. She's blatantly telling me she's in love with him and he fills voids that she's been missing for years. Any tips for the depression that comes along with these situations? I realized I've lost 14 pounds just since the beginning of May. That is insane for me. I only weighed 144 to begin and have stayed consistent since we got married. I feel like things are out of control right now and it's nearly impossible to man up and put on a strong face. HR talked to both of them and myself. Basically, as long as it's not causing a distraction or performance problems at work, there's nothing they can or will do. I'm in a pickle there because I work there as well. I've been warned of consequences if I stir up trouble. I'm already looking for a new job though. She found out I ratted them out to OMW. She's threatening to pack a bag. I feel so emotionally destroyed. She doesn't see what this is doing to me, physically, emotionally, and psychologically. I'm also being blamed for causing OM's divorce and contributing to my own. What do I say to all of this? I looked her dead in the eye, let her talk, and said absolutely nothing. It feels like I'm talking to a sociopath, but I know it's fog babble. She went off last night saying they're doing nothing wrong. She refuses to stop communicating with him. She said he's not the reason she feels this way. Then she went off further and said, she's never been in love with me. I've never had her back. We've never felt like a team. I abandoned her as soon as we got married. She has zero desire to have a future with me. I blew it off and went to bed. I know it's fog babble and rationalizations. It's just crazy to see the brazen nature in the way she talks. It was like she was holding up her middle finger the whole time she was spouting off. Update: spoke with a lawyer today. Since WW is willing to work nicely, we can do a dissolution and be completely done in about 90 days. Lawyer is going to check with a colleague who specializes in civil cases to check to see if I have any case against the employer for not doing anything about it. WW is still at her story that other man has nothing to do with her desire to split up. It's all my fault and she realized she made a mistake marrying me. However, she says she wants to delay any legal proceedings until we are financially ready. I'm at a crossroad. Do I attribute her feelings to the fog and keep planning my butt off until she comes around? Or do I cut and run and move on with my life? I'm struggling with the emotional needs part of Plana. How do I meet her needs when she's so closed off? I'm pretty sure her top two would be affection and conversation, neither of which she is open to at the moment, unless we're conversing about divorce. And how do I do these things without her thinking it's just for show? Consistency. I have a list of known relatives. None have Facebook. Still working on getting contact info. OMW is uncooperative with exposure. He's already threatened to leave if his parents find out. Here's the rundown. OMW uncovered emotional affair about a month ago. WW has been completely bold and without shame in wanting to end things. WW has spewed all kinds of babble. She hasn't been happy for years. I exposed to everyone about 3 weeks ago. They've still been talking before and during work. I've been planning for a few weeks. Last night WW realized she's being played. I got her to talk to OM's wife and they compared notes and both realized he's a scumbag. WW is saying she wants to give our marriage another shot, but I can tell she's still conflicted. I can tell she's always going to have other men on her mind and he's always going to be her backup plan. How can I help her resolve those feelings for him? Our marriage is never going to work with her being in love with another man. Lawyer, have everything including money lined up. Just need to pull the trigger. They are checking on the civil side to see whether I have a case against the employer. New job. I've been saying it all along that I don't consider the affair over until one of them leaves the company, but neither is willing to leave. It's also hard when we have a mortgage and bills to pay. She had been showing zero desire to work on the marriage or end things with OM. She flat out refused to stop talking to him when this all blew up. That changed last night and there are cracks starting to show. She says she wants to work on the marriage. I don't believe it until her actions, zero contact, show different. My comment: let me start by saying this, you are planning B. She has no shame after being exposed. Accept it. We've seen plenty of women on this channel being ashamed of cheating. Your wife is not one of them. It's over, at least your lawyer lined up everything. So that's nice. Story 3. How does anyone cope? My wife is in an online affair with someone and it is hurting me, as it is getting deeper and deeper. My wife and I have been married for 20 years. We have 3 boys, 15, 18, 19. I love my wife very much and I'm losing her as she is currently in an emotional affair. A quick overview on our marriage over the past 20 years. As a husband, I have not been 100% faithful to her, as in the early years of marriage I was flirting online with 2 workmates, not at the same time, mainly suggestive statements. That didn't go far as she found out about it and confronted me. The flirting stopped, but I still had a roving eye but did not engage in any other extramarital activity. 10 years ago, we moved to another country and I did get involved with another workmate. This time it went beyond flirting as there was kissing and touching. It was confined to the office and we never had slept together. When my wife suspected of the affair, I came clean and confessed. This time we started making plans for me to move out of the house to pursue the affair. However, the following day at work, I realized that I was being extremely stupid and was on the brink of losing my wife and family. I then called the other woman, it was her day off, and told her that we need to break off the relationship. To cut a long story short, I broke off the relationship and immediately looked at options to getting me out of the branch that I was working at. This took a few months to happen and during that time I started slipping back into the affair. However, once I moved to another branch, communication with the other woman was drastically reduced and eventually stopped. It now has been 7 years and I have been faithful to my wife ever since. Unfortunately, I didn't realize that my wife had decided that it was enough and shut her emotions towards me. Looking back, it is quite confusing as the weeks after my breakup with the other woman, my wife started being very intimate with me. Her physical drive had always been low, so this was a breath of fresh air for me and I loved it. However, as suddenly it started, it suddenly stopped. During the first 5 years of being faithful to my wife, I tried in my inadequate way to express my love for her. But she rarely responded and it got really frustrating. I guess the frustration manifested in me being easily irritated and angry. Bonding was semi-frequent but not very fulfilling as there was little emotion or interest on her part. About 3 years ago, my wife had lunch with my youngest son at a restaurant and had to share a table with another man. She struck a conversation with the man and later told me that she was attracted to him as he was a successful businessman who had separated from his wife. You can imagine my distress. I made a mistake in confiding with my mother-in-law, who said that I should just let her do what she wants as I cannot stop or control her. I stupidly was influenced by that and began feeling resentful. In a fit of anger, I told her to go look for the man of your dreams. Being stupid and protecting myself from being hurt. Over the last 3 years I have not treated my wife as I should, getting angry easily, putting her down, etc. Needless to say, she recently registered herself on a few dating sites. She has developed an online relationship with another man from the US. We reside in NZ. I believe that it only started in Feb, but it has escalated to at least one full-blown, explicit, email cyber bonding. On the upside, she has not revealed her real name to him, although he has, but she has sent him a partial face shot and a shot of her cleavage to him. I have access to the email that she contacts the other man with, and I know that she is about to send another photo, this time the full face. I really can't take it. I know my WW very well and I know if there is exposure there is no way for our marriage to reconcile. I understand that exposure is imperative, but I also know my WW. She actually confessed to me a few weeks after getting in contact with the OM. My wife is a very particular as a person. In fact, if truth be known, she married down when she married me. Over the past 20 years I have not been a model husband, see edited first post, and have not been able to provide for her the kind of lifestyle that she would like. As such, together with my infidelity in the past, my unkindness, and my inability to earn more than $50,000, she had grown extremely frustrated and has over the past 3 years have conditioned her mind that she's leaving me and our boys. She told me that when she registered in those sites, bear in mind that this is highly unlike the wife I knew from before 3 years ago, she didn't like men who came on strong physically right from the onset. She accidentally started cyber affair with one man here in NZ but stopped when he started sending her erotica. She even met up with another guy, but stopped contact when he made a move to touch her. She has stopped contact with all men in NZ, as she says they were too close for comfort, and decided to register in a dating site in the US, where she met the OM. The thing is, since her confession, my relationship with my wife has been the best ever, even before marriage. She has never been this intimate with me before, and she attributes it to a fundamental change in me since the confession. She has always been a self-governing person, and I know that she still is. When she confessed, I believe her when she said that she needed time to wean off the other man. But she told me that even though our relationship had improved at 100-fold, the one thing that's holding her back to fully reconciling is my lack of success financially. She said that if she stops communication with the OM altogether, it will drive her to communicate and find other men in NZ. This is exactly what happened. She started weaning off, and because she felt pressure from me, although I was giving her room, she weaned off too quickly and she got back onto NZ sites and started communicating with other men, but with the qualifier that she does not want to cheat on her husband. She had initially told the OM that she wasn't going to get on these sites again, and when she went back on those sites, she told him, and he said that if she was going to look for an affair, then why not have one with him? That's when things started escalating. That was just last week. Firstly, the other man is across the Pacific and she has never met him. It is an online affair. She is in bed with me. Our relationship has never been this intimate and physically charged before. It's just that the online affair is escalating. After her confession, our relationship has improved tremendously. She has been intimately relating with me in a way that she has never done before, even before marriage. That's why I think that I'm somewhat filling her LB. She told me that one of the main reasons she finds the other man attractive is that he is a successful man, successful in his career, and I have not been over the past 20 years. The most I've ever earned is just over $50,000. I was jobless for 2 years and have just recently started working the graveyard shift in a sales call center. While this job has got financial potential, but it could take time. She said that the only way she would leave me is if I die first and the other man's wife goes before him too, and that I improve my financial standing. There have been some developments. My WW was at Good Friday Eve watch night service last night, and I believe due to my prayers and her desire to actually get out of the affair, God must have intervened. Because this morning at church for Good Friday service, she had a serious talk with me stating that she has decided to end the affair. As part of the service, we were asked to write the one thing that we would like to leave at the cross, and she wrote my affair with the other man. She has also emailed him saying, I think the right thing would be for me to back away. And I will email you another time, a proper closure to the amazing journey we've had. I believe that this is real, as I have also seen the follow-up email, although still in draft mode at the moment. The other man has also replied that he would respect her decision. But, having said all this, I will still need to be vigilant regarding further contact with the other man and the trolling of dating sites. On Good Friday she sent him an email saying that I think the right thing would be for me to back away. And she also said that we were not going to send 3 emails, 2 of which was physically in nature, and 1 with a photo of herself. She told me that she will send a proper closure email on Easter Monday. I've read the email. She doesn't know I've got access to her email account, and it looks perfect. But she hasn't sent the email, and since then he has conditioned her to continue communicating. Also, she has also been editing one of the physical emails and 1 with the photo. Looks like it's going to start again. The OM lives in San Diego and I'm in Auckland, New Zealand, and I don't know how I'm able to gather info on him. My comment: this is a tough one. Your wife is in a long-distance affair with some random dude because you are less successful than him. Guess what? Even if you were more successful, she'll be attracted to someone who earns even more. She is not happy with her current state, and you can't force her to stay with you. Let her go and see what she says. If she stays, that means she loves you. If she doesn't, it means she's gone, buddy.